Hello students, I hope everybody is fine. So in today's tutorial, we will study about human brain. As you can see on the screen, so we have this human brain with respective parts. So before we study the whole topic, check out the various parts that are going to be studied in detail, okay? So please take your textbook and notes copy along with you and make sure you write down the notes as the tutorial proceed, okay? So the brain or human brain is basically divided into these subparts. So check out the name and write it down. Though we'll read this part again and again, okay? The first is the frontal lobe, then is the parietal lobe, occipital lobes. So these are the four lobes, okay, of the main part called cerebrum. So write it down, cerebrum, cerebrum, cerebrum. So these are the lobes of cerebrum. Then the second part for the brain is cerebellum, and it is been having a elongation rod called spinal cord, on which the whole, you can say, the brain got the connected with the other part of the body. So now let us see about these parts one by one as we read the chapter. So the human brain, so write down this data. The human brain is the central organ of nervous system. So this nervous system is called CNS, okay, central nervous system. So brain is that part, and with spinal cord, so they all make together the central nervous system. So brain and spinal cord, so they together make this system called central nervous system. Then, as I have told you, this brain consists of basically three main parts: cerebrum, then brainstem, and cerebellum. So cerebrum, then brainstem, and the cerebellum, okay? And they control all the activities of a body, starting from processing the data, integrating it, and coordinating it with the help of various sense organs of our body line. So this tissue or the brain is protected by a hard covering called skull of the head. So basically you should know that brain in particular has got the subparts of the CNS, central nervous system, and then it has three main parts, and then it control and coordinate every part of your body, okay? So basically this is the new factor could be for you. So basically in a body you have three brains, okay? So three brains. So first the topic that we are read today is the head brain, then is the heart brain that we have read about the working of human heart, and the gut brain, that is the intestinal zone. So basically we will deal with for the day the head. So that is the main part, or we referred as a brain. So as I have told you that a brain is covered by a bone called cranium. So write down this name, cranium. So it is covered by cranium, which protects it, and the cranium and the bones that protect our face is called skull, skull, okay? And this brain is then further protected by three layers, which we call them meninges. So write down this name. So we'll learn about this name meninges as we proceed in tutorial. So these layer protect the brain as well as spinal cord. Then there is some more data that you should be knowing it. So it is the most powerful computer the world know about it. It is approximately having underline the number 100 billion neurons. It is a massive number, and these neurons are connected by again a big number of synapses, approximately they say million billion. So these numbers are a huge numbers that you can approximately know that how your body function and coordinate and control. So this is some data that lets you know where are the parts situated. So as I have told you, so the big part of the brain called cerebrum, it is the largest part of the brain, and then it has a part called cerebellum and the brainstem. So these are the three main parts of the human brain. Now the study of brain, you should know it. The study of brain is referred as encephalogy, okay? ENCEPHA. It is A instead of O, LOGY, okay? LOGY. So that is the branch of science that deals with the study and function of brain. So that it should be known to you completely. So as I have already told you that the brain is the largest and the most complex organ of a body. It is made up of approximately more than 100 billion nerves and synapses. Then the brain itself it has further specialized area, so called the cortex zone, which is the outermost part of the brain, which is used for all our mental thinking. Then it has a brain stem between the spinal cord and the rest of the brain. So these are some of the part of the brain, and of course the cerebellum, the base of the brain, that the base and the back of the brain, and is responsible for coordination and balance. So we will again read this topic in detail. Now check out the name that we have just told you, the meninges, okay? So this meninges, as I have told you, is covers the brain and spinal cord, okay, by 3 layers. So you should know the names of the layer. Rest of them is not in the part of syllabi. The first name is called dura mater, okay, D-U-R-A, dura mater. So this is the first layer, or you can say the layer that covers the brain. The second layer that covers the brain is called arachnoid. So check out the name, A-R-A-C-H-N-O-I-D, okay, arachnoid mater again. And the third one is called pia mater, okay, P-I-A-M-A-T-E-R. So write down all the 3 names. So these are these meninges layer together called, and the names should be known to you, right from the dura mater, then arachnoid mater, and the pia mater. Then brain itself, as I have told you, is an amazing organ that approximately weigh close to 3 pounds, or you can say close to 1500 grams, and it interprets the information from the outside world so that you can coordinate with it. So it is a site for intelligence, your creativity, emotion and memory, all these things. And the brain, I have told you, composed of 3 parts, so cerebrum, cerebellum and brainstem, okay? And brain receive these stimulus from in the form of sight, smell, touch, taste, hearing, and then accordingly it performs the function. As I have told you, we are reading into the central nervous system that consists of brain and spinal cord, and after the word we will study about the PNS or peripheral nervous system. Now here is the part for the brain, the first one called the cerebral hemisphere, okay, the largest of the whole part of the brain. So it has 4 lobes, and underline these names for the 4 lobes. The first one is frontal lobe, okay, frontal lobe. Second is temporal, T-E-M-P-O-R-A-L. Second one is temporal lobe, write them down very precisely. Then the third one that we referred is as parietal, P-A-R-I-E-T-A-L, okay, and the last one is referred as occipital, O-C-C-I-P-I-T-A-L. So these are the 4 lobes of the main part of the brain called cerebrum, okay, and that is the structure that gives you some idea where these parts are. So this is the frontal lobe, then you can see a parietal lobe, then occipital lobe and temporal lobes. So these are the 4 lobes of cerebrum, okay. Now check out this function of these particular lobes that should be known to you, and please write them down after viewing the video, pause them down and please check them up because they are very important for the examination point of view. For frontal lobe, so personality and behavior and emotion, they are controlled by it. Then judgment and planning, problem solving, so all mental skills is controlled by frontal lobe. Then speech is the major task for this lobe, all body movement, and of course as I have told you, it is the side for intelligence, concentration and self-awareness. So it has a massive role to play in order to make us a complete human being. Then is a parietal lobe. So check that again. It basically interrupts the language part of the verbal communication with us. Then it also has a massive role in terms of sense of touch, pain, temperature. Underline this number. It is a sensory part for that, touch, pain and temperature. Then it also has some role to play in, quite a role to play in visual perception. So parietal lobe basically go for the sense of touch, pain and temperature, as and of course the interpretation of language. Then third one is occipital lobe. So as the name states, so it is basically interprets vision, that is color, light movement, light and movement. Okay, so basically whatever you see is because of this particular lobe. Then comes the temporal lobe, that is basically meant for hearing. Then also sequencing and organization. It also helps you understand the language, retain the memory. So you can see all these lobes perform a big function for us as a individual. Now this is again the same data that we have just told you. In case of the brain, the three parts, cerebrum, cerebellum and brainstem. So we already have read about cerebrum in detail just now. So in case of cerebellum, just check it out. It basically helps. Its function is to coordinate muscular movement and maintain body posture and balance. So body posture and body balance is a cerebellum job. And the brainstem, you can see, it basically acts as a relay center connecting the cerebrum and the cerebellum. Okay, and basically it has a big role to perform in automatic functions such as your breathing, your heartbeat, your body temperature, the sleep cycle, digestion, sneezing, coughing, vomiting and swallowing. So these are the massive function which is performed by the brain stem. Okay, so write it down, all the main function for brain stem. Now since we know that we have the two parts for the brain, the right brain and the left brain, and as we know that these two parts of the brain is connected by these two hemisphere of the brain is connected by a bunch of nerves. We call them corpus callosum. Underline the number, CORPUS. Okay, corpus, CALLOSUM, corpus callosum. So it basically connect both the hemisphere of the brain, and it help in again the transmission of information from the two sides of it. As we know that the two hemisphere of the brain, that is the right and left, you can see here. So they connect and collect the information in opposite direction. That means the right brain will be handling the left part of the body, the left brain handling the right part of the body. That should be known to you. Now this is the diagram that you are already familiar with, and this is the one that lets you know that how this brain works. So these are the neurons, and these diagram we already have told you in the other videos. So here the information comes through the axon, the message comes in the form of stimulus. Then at the junction of synapses we have a bunch of neurotransmitters where they are picked up the messages and transfer it to the other part of the body line in complete coordination. And these are the some parts for the human brain that you should be knowing it, that as I already have told you, the weigh approximately 1500 grams more or less, and second part, it has billions of nerve cells in it, and these data you must write it down in complete notes in your complete notes copies. So now you have contained that you should know that consists of billions of nerve fibers. We call them as some word called gray matter and white matter. So this will be told to you when we have the online classes and the offline classes after this particular breaks gives over. So the gray matter and white matter, and they have got a connection called synapses. So these data should be known to you. Since we know that the brain is such a big organ and performs such a big function, then it do have a lot of other works to do it. Okay, and as a result, it also undergoes certain stress factor that develop into number of problems. So basically, some names should be known to you. Number one is encephalitis. So it is the inflammation of brain tissue. Then you should have known about disease called Parkinson's disease, Parkinsons. So here the nerves in this central area of the brain breaks up or degenerates, hence the coordination movement go haywire. And then epilepsy, you already have read about it. So in this case, the tendency to have seizures. Then one disease that known to you is dementia. So here the function or the malfunctioning of nerve cell in the brain, and it is a big trouble for the generations. Then Alzheimer disease, you should have heard the name, where the nerve connection on brain areas degenerates, and it is a common form of dementia world over. So these diseases which affect the brain should also be known to you. Then since we have the disease in the brain, then we should know that how we test that, how we know that the brain is getting that particular infection. So only should know some name. One is called MRI scan. That term is known to us, called magnetic resonance imaging. Magnetic resonance, okay, resonance imaging. That is the technique by which we know that which part of the brain is having some infection or problem. Then we should have also some word called magnetic resonance angiography. That shows that whether there is some clot in the brain whenever somebody is suffering from a stroke. And then the name that is in your book also called EEG, electroencephalogram. Okay, write down this word, electroencephalo, CEPHALO. HALO, okay, gram, GRAM. So this is the term. Sometimes we ask you a 1 mark question, okay. So electroencephalogram, this is that notes the activity of the brain, where they place electrodes on the skin of the head, and they let us know that what problem the brain is having. So these are some of the parts that should be known to you. And in case of the hindbrain, or we have just read about that name, so that part should also be known to you. So the hindbrain consists of basically the 3 parts that is already been told in the particular part of the tutorial, that is called cerebellum, CEREBELLUM, okay, cerebellum. Then is pons, write on the word. So pons varolii, VAROLLI, okay, pons varolii. And third one is medulla, okay, medulla oblongata. The names are somewhat different, so you should know this name, medulla, underline that word, oblongata, okay. So OBLONGATA. So medulla oblongata. So these are the 3 parts of your hindbrain, and each part play a massive role in the various functioning. So in case of pons varolii, write down the word, they control some aspect of respiration, okay. So pons varolii control certain aspect of respiration, while cerebellum, I already have told you that maintain the posture of your body, while the medulla oblongata, if you have missed it, you should know it, In case of medulla oblongata, it has some roles such as we all told you, it control the heart rate or heart beating, then breathing movements. The breathing movements is again under the control of medulla oblongata, then expansion and contraction of blood vessels, expansion and contraction of blood vessels, okay, as well as it regulate the blood pressure also. And the one that you should know it, the brain medulla oblongata part of it has a massive role to play in swallowing. Write down this word: swallowing of food, coughing, coughing. Then it also play a role for sneezing. So these movements: swallowing, coughing, sneezing, and vomiting. Okay. So though we have told you the data in this particular tutorial, but still you should write it down so that this thing be known to you in case of when they are asked in the examination. Okay. So these are some functions of the medulla oblongata. So this is as far as concerned with our central nervous system. Okay. For peripheral nervous system, we only have some data to learn about. So in peripheral nervous system, basically we have the three subcomponents of it. One are called cranial nerves that originate from brain, then spinal nerves, the name give you the answer, that originate from spine or spinal cord, and last one is the visceral nerve. Okay, visceral nerve, visceral, okay, visceral nerve. So these all nerves get the main connection and then perform the function. To underline just one, cranial nerves, we have 12 pairs of it. Then in case of spinal nerves, which arise from spine approximately, they have approximately 31 pairs, while the visceral nerves, they originate from the internal body organs such as heart or kidney or lungs, okay, blood vessels, and then they bring about the connections which help the body to perform the function in proper manner. So these are the sub parts for peripheral nervous system. Okay. So this peripheral nervous system, as I have told you, has these terms and they perform that function. Then the ANS, the second part for that is the autonomic nervous system. So in autonomic nervous system, we have only two, underline the word autonomic, okay, AUTONOMIC, autonomic nervous system. So this autonomic nervous system consists of basically two parts. One is called sympathetic nervous system, sympathetic, okay, sympathetic nervous system, and other is parasympathetic, okay, parasympathetic nervous system. So basically these two parts called sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system from the autonomic nervous system, they have basically opposing effects. So write down the word, they already have, or they generally have opposing effect, okay. So what is the meaning of opposing effects generally? So these are, one system exert the stimulatory effect on the other, the one system of impose or go for the stimulatory effect, okay, stimulate it. So stimulatory effect, while the other one go for the inhibitory effect, inhibitory. So they oppositely act and carry on the function. So stimulatory and inhibitory effect. So please run through the whole tutorial again and write down the notes as you run through them, and take care about your health.